Welcome one to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition is James Bond 007 The Duel, brought to us by Dumark. And while Dumark made many James Bond related titles during the 1980s and into the 1990s, this is the only one as far as I know that actually made it over to console. While not directly based on a particular James Bond film, in fact this is the first game that was not based on a movie or book in the James Bond world, you have James Bond being played by Timothy Dalton, really only on the title screen, as you can't really tell who it is during the actual gameplay, but it actually marked the end and the last time that Timothy Dalton represented the character of James Bond, as this was actually made 4 years after the last film that he starred in that role. The game is broken up into 4 different levels, and each level has you having to save a certain number of women in a level that are being held captive, then find a bomb and set it, and escape before the bomb goes off. Controls in the game are very simplistic. You have a jump, a shoot, and a throw as far as grenades are concerned, as well as you can duck and crouch to kind of get around enemies. James has a very exaggerated acrobatic jump that takes a bit to get used to. When we begin the first level, we're going to head down the ladder and save the first damsel in distress, then backtrack and head up the ladder we took down into that area. At any point while you're firing your gun, if you're trying to press fire while running and you're not shooting any bullets, you actually have to stop for a second and reload, which is an interesting mechanic, and you actually can run out of ammo. In the bottom left corner of the screen, you can see the top being the 007 symbol, representing your lives, below that your current health, below that the amount of clips you currently have left to reload your gun, and then the grenades that you have on you at that moment, and finally the score at the very bottom. After saving the second damsel in distress, we have to jump across a series of boats that are attached to the side of the ship, head up a couple of ladders up to this portion. Now, each of the levels in the game do contain a boss for you to fight, but honestly, you can end up skipping most of the bosses and just run past and avoid them, though we will get to see them briefly in each of the levels as we're going through. Climb up these ladders here and grab the last damsel in distress, run to the right, climbing down this ladder to activate the first bomb of the game. From here, we're going to take a little bit of a tricky path. Watch out for this guy, and then you're going to drop off the ledge here. You do have fall damage, so be careful. We're going to quickly avoid Jaws here. You don't want Jaws to grab you. If he does, he will throw you off the boat into the water, and the current will actually push you to the far left instead of where we want to, which is drop into the water to the right and enter the submarine and exit out of the level. If you end up getting drifted to the far left, sharks will eventually come and actually eat James Bond, so make sure that you avoid Jaws. You can just kind of jump over him and completely avoid him. But we will be seeing Jaws later, as he is also the final boss of the game. Level number 2 is a forest-based level, has the most damsels to save, as well as it's kind of the largest level overall, with the biggest area in mass that you'll get to explore. There's a little bit more pathways and ledges that you don't necessarily have to go on in this level compared to others. After making our way up the trees to the very top, we save the first damsel, then drop off to the left, grabbing the vines as we fall, because that fall would normally kill us, but we're able to grab the vine as we're falling down and shimmy our way across to save the second damsel. Over to the right, we're going to make a couple of jumps up here and save the third girl. Do a little bit of backtracking, so now that we can climb up the tree. As we make our way to the very top, watch out for a few enemies on the platforms and fire from a distance when possible. Make it over to here and watch out for Baron Samedi, who is waiting to throw his boomerang bone-like weapon at you. Either way, like we did with Jaws, we're just going to avoid him as best as possible and keep on going, but it's really cool to see him and the other Bond villains included in this game in some way, shape, or form. After saving the next girl, we're going to drop down to the right, shimmy down this vine, and now head over to the far right in this section. Keep going right and drop down this little pit and save the next girl. Once you've saved her, head up the ladder, watching out for the spike pit below to the right, as well as the other pit to the left of where we currently are, had a lot of spikes in there as well, so you want to make sure you don't fall down there. Climb up this ladder and shoot the guy, and make sure you pick up the grenades because we will need them in just a moment. Do a couple of jumps to start climbing up here and up this ladder, taking out the guy at the top, though he usually ends up hitting me because of the way the enemies end up seeing you. Their vision isn't the greatest, but if you're anywhere near them, they activate instantly and fire at you. You can actually kind of trick them by jumping, as you won't be able to get hit by them a lot of times. When you make it to the very top here, throw your grenades, the ones you have, at the ship to the right, and then use the gun to finish it off. If you stand on that far left side, the giant warship will not be able to hit you, which is really cool. Use the air duct type thing that fires you up into the air to land safely, and then make your way along the top portion to save the next girl before slowly making your way down. Don't fall down too fast, or of course you'll end up dying from the fall damage. When you make it to the very bottom, you can save the last girl of the level, and then go over to the right and go down this elevator to find the bomb location. The bomb is over to the left, and the exit we need to take is over to the right. Very simple to get through, but there are a couple of enemies, so be ready to hit the fire button. And after just a little bit of walking, you'll be at the exit of the stage and move on to level 3. Mission number 3 is a pretty annoying level, and the main reason for that is the elevators. There is one big elevator near the very beginning of the stage, this one right here, that takes forever to go up and down, and it has a couple of floors to visit. Well, not that big of a deal when we first start, as we're going to take the elevator up initially and head over to the right. Fire at a few enemies along the way and then go down the second elevator. This will take you to the first girl that we need to save. There's only 4 of them, thankfully, in this level that we need to worry about. After saving the first girl, head back now over to the far left and take up the elevator, and then take the elevator we previously took all the way up here back down. In fact, you're going to be taking that elevator all the way down to the very bottom floor, the basement level of this stage. The thing about it is, you're going to have to wait usually a long time, and that's what makes this level annoying. So right now, when we get to this edge, we just have to stand here and wait. It'll take a while a lot of times in order for that elevator to finally show up, but trust me, it's on its way. It just moves incredibly slow. That's one of the few things about this game that I find more annoying than anything else, because you can't fall down or else you'll risk that fall damage. Had that not been included, I could have just easily dropped down the elevator shaft with no worries. Once we finally do get the elevator to show up, head down all the way to the very basement floor. Now, we're actually going to be coming to this floor right here in just a moment, but we're not going to go right yet, as that's where we're going to go to continue the stage. Instead, the next girl that we're going to be saving is at the bottom of this elevator. If you're quick, you can save her and get back to the elevator before it goes back up. But if you're unlucky, like I happen to be in this run of the game, you're going to have to wait here. And you're probably going to have to wait here a good 20-30 seconds in order for that elevator to finally come back down. It will take forever, but finally the elevator does show itself back up, and we can jump on it and head up one level to the one that we need to go to next. Once here, we're going to head over to the right, watching out for a guy who's going to immediately charge us, and then wait for this platform to come all the way over to the left. That way you avoid getting hit by the fire that spews out of the cannons, or dripping from the cannons. The next girl that you need to save is right directly in the path on this area, and you'll have to wait a few moments usually for the elevator to come here, but thankfully it's not nearly as long of a wait as that one we just dealt with. Once we drop down here, do a big leaping jump over to the far right, watching out for the cannons spewing fire all over the place. Keep going all the way over to the right, and you're going to climb up on the very end here. Now, while we wait for the thing to come back so we can grab onto it, just over to the left, if you look up, you'll see Mayday running back and forth, and we want to avoid her at all costs. So when you do come back to this section, which we will need to do in just a moment after saving the last girl, just be careful and don't go up to that platform if she's waiting for you there. Grab onto this thing, head all the way over to the right, take out the guy, and go down the ladder to save the last girl of the stage. Then immediately go right back up, grab on to the thing, and head back over to the far left side. When you get back over here, head left, and you're going to activate the elevator. You'll all of a sudden notice right above you, the elevator platform ends up showing up. Don't go up this rope or whatever it is until the elevator comes back down, and Mayday is not currently right above you. Usually she'll pace back and forth a couple of times, the elevator will show up, and then we can quickly climb up, get onto the elevator, and go up here. Now we need to make our way up a couple of ladders and like the ropes. There is a guy eventually waiting for you on one of the platforms, and when you make it to the next like actual moving elevator part, you have to be careful when you're going up it, because you don't want to be on the right edge like I am and end up getting hit by the boss right at the top. Instead, you want to be on the very edge. If you're on the edge, you can turn around and easily fire at this mechanical hand and take it out without having to worry about getting hurt. Now, I recommend actually firing at the second hand before activating the bomb, but if you want to kind of speed things up, you can activate the bomb and time your jump right, you can jump over the second hand, but that's more of kind of an advanced maneuver, so be careful. Maybe your first time through, just take it out with your gun, and then grab the bomb, activate it, and start heading over here. Once here, you'll have to head down. You can actually hold down on the D-pad and hit the jump button in order to quickly swing your way down platforms. Just be careful when doing so that you don't fall down too far, or else, of course, you'll end up getting hurt or potentially die because of the fall damage. Once you're at the very bottom, watch out for the lava and then start climbing up the opposite side. When you make it to the top, though, that's where the exit is located, and we can finish up stage 3 and head into the final level of the game, level number 4. Level number 4 is thankfully not nearly as annoying as level number 3 was as far as like elevators and the like. The first whole section is pretty straightforward. We have 5 of the women to save in the stage, and you have to watch out for the rocket fire. Basically, this is like rockets firing out all this flames down towards you, so kind of wait for your opening and then jump between the big openings so you don't end up getting hit by the fire. Thankfully, it's not an instant death, but you want to conserve some of your health if possible. It's a pretty lengthy stage overall. Over here, grab the grenades and head back to the ladder and head up and save the first girl, and then jump over to the left and take this small little elevator up to the next platform. Take out the scientist dude from afar if possible, and then make the big leap over to the right, once again waiting for another elevator to come your way. When making it to the top, be careful of another guy who's going to be coming your way eventually. Sometimes you'll have to like go a little bit of a distance before he shows up, but be always prepared to fire the gun when needed. Then you're going to work your way along the top portion here, jumping between the gaps, once again watching out for the fire from the exhaust of the rockets. Just to the left is where you're going to run into Oddjob, which is really cool, one of my favorite villains of James Bond. He will throw his hat at you, like the other enemies shoot their guns, if he's within eye range of you, but just like a lot of the other enemies, he's very easy to fool and trick, and you can easily jump and get past him without even having to worry about him. After taking this small little elevator ride, head to the left and save the next woman. Once you have saved her, head down the elevator that we just previously took, down the ladder that we just took a moment ago, watching out for the scientist guy if you hadn't taken him out yet, and then you're going to want to jump to the right, make a big leap so that you're able to kind of land up here, or you may have to climb up one of the ropes if needed if you don't make that one initial jump. Keep heading over to the far right, making your leaps when necessary in order to keep going along this top portion with the rockets and all. Over to the right, land on this solid platform, taking out another one of the scientist-like guys. There's another one not too far usually ahead of the previous one, and then take the big ladder located here. After climbing up, watch out for this guy here, make your way up when you can, and fire at him in order to take him out. Once here, wait a few moments, the elevator will come down, and don't take too long, thankfully, and take the elevator up to the next portion. Once up here, head over to the left, taking out another one of the scientist dudes, and make a big leap once again to the platforms. You can take out this guy from this platform here by doing a nicely timed jump shot, and once he's done, climb up a little bit and start heading left. Over here, through this opening, watch out for a couple more scientist guys and save the next girl. like we always have to do at this point in the game, wait for another elevator to come your way and then go up. Right to the left is a scientist, but also the next girl. So now we're only down to one of the women that we have to save in the stage. Climb up the big ladder here, watching out for another scientist dude, and just to the left is the last woman as well as the bomb. Save her, activate the bomb, and then climb up the big ladder here. Right to the right is our next boss encounter. It's a giant machine, and we're going to use our grenades from a distance to try to hit it. If you throw a grenade even if the guy's off screen and you see your score go up, then you know you were able to actually do damage to it. When you see the score jump up massively, even if he's off screen, then you know you've done enough damage to defeat the boss. After taking it out, head to the right and you'll complete this area and move on to the final boss. The final boss of the game is Jaws, once again controlling a giant machine. Throw any of the grenades you may have left, and then immediately climb up the ladder to the left, firing at Jaws as he moves back and forth in the giant machine. There's a really easy way to cheese this boss though. Head to the very top left corner here, and you can just fire at the claw. If you stay hugging the left wall, Jaws will be unable to hit you. Sometimes I'll drop down just to kind of change things up, but you have to be careful. If you do go down to a farther platform, he can end up hitting you with those throwing ball-like bombs. But if you stay in this left corner, you can just keep firing at him until he is defeated. And once he is, drop on down to the bottom platform, in which case you will have the female character that I guess we were trying to save in the long run. And she'll give you a couple of kisses, and you get the very small ending to James Bond: The Duel. And there you have it. That is James Bond: The Duel for the Sega Genesis. Not really a great ending, but overall it's not a bad Bond game, and you get to see a few of the other Bond villains throughout the course of the game, which is probably the highlight for sure for me. I wish there had been a couple other James Bond related games on consoles during this era, as there were a lot of them being released for PC based systems. But either way guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of Play It Through. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a thumbs up or commenting down below. If you enjoyed this, be sure to check out the recent playthroughs I did for Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, the Mickey version. All it did was replace the main character with Mickey, but still, really awesome game. And then I also did Godzilla Monster of Monsters on the NES. I also, of course, need to thank all the members of my Patreon. In fact, this playthrough was because of a member on Patreon. You guys are absolutely amazing. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to keep doing what I'm doing, so thank you all so much. If you'd like to help out and maybe get a playthrough done that you'd like to see done, click the little Patreon button down below. But with that, I'd like to thank you guys once again for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.